So in this video, I want to talk about why wealth doesn't start with your wallet or your bank account, anywhere you keep your money. And the reason why I want to have this conversation, because I know for a lot of people, let's say if you're someone that's living paycheck to paycheck, just struggling financially, you're probably thinking that, and you're hearing all this, you're probably researching stuff about building wealth. You're talking about, investing, and you're like, man, if I just had more money, I can build wealth. I can start investing and do the things I need to make more money. Or if I just got that pay raise and I could have more money and I can afford things that I need in order to build wealth long term. And the reason why this is important, because I think for a lot of people, they think that if they made more money, that this would solve a lot of their problems in terms of building wealth. And coming from experience, that's usually not the case, because what the one thing that tends to happen is when people make more money, what tends to happen is they have this lifestyle creep, right? As their income increases, so does their expenses. And this is something that's happened to everyone. It's even happened to myself, someone that's had $30,000 of debt before. I understand this firsthand, and it's usually not because of money. Like the reason why you're probably not building wealth, or you're not where you want to be financially, is not because you don't have more money, right? It's due to obviously a certain mindset that you have. And because think about it, look at people that win the lottery, right? Within 5 years they're broke, right? And that's not because of more money, because they didn't have money. They had the money. It's because they didn't have a certain mindset. And for a lot of people, this is if I just went into any in their budget, if I went to other people's, like their finance, their bank account, and then saw the things that people spend, I could list off the things like, all right, you don't need this, you need that, you don't have to go eat out here, you don't need a lot of these things, and you could fix your financial situation very quickly. But for a lot of people, they struggle because they just have poor financial habits, right? They have poor spending habits. And I understand, like, inflation right now is crazy, so it is harder for a lot of people to get things done. But there are people that are still finding success in these times, even though a lot more things are expensive, because they have certain tools, they have a certain mindset that helps them identify opportunities that's going to help them make more money, build wealth. They have a certain discipline. And I talk about why wealth doesn't start with your wallet, but it starts with your mindset, right? It starts with the mind, and that's the most important thing, right? A lot of people, if people had a different mindset, they could find opportunities. And like in this video, I'm gonna quickly go through a list of like certain things and show why having a certain mindset is important in order to build wealth, right? So let's start with because if you have the right mindset and have the right attitude, it plays a fundamental role in your ability to build and manage wealth. And the first thing that I want to talk about is obviously the first thing like on that list is like your mindset shapes your behavior, right? And how you believe, your beliefs and thoughts influence your actions. Like if you're someone that thinks, you know what, all right, I want to build wealth, I'm gonna start taking actions that'll build wealth. You're gonna start doing things that's going to get you to where you want to be when it comes to building wealth, right? If you have a positive attitude, and you're just like, you know what, I want to build wealth. You're gonna start taking money, setting 10%, 5, 10, 15% aside, and say, all right, I'm gonna take this money, invest it into the stock, or I'm gonna put money aside and I'm gonna invest it into real estate, or find opportunities to do something else that's gonna help me build wealth or make more money. Even if you're at a job where you're not making so much money, you're going to find other opportunities, whether it's a side gig or a business you're going to find ways to make more money so you can get to where you need to be when it comes to building wealth. And that's the first thing, is that mindset. You have to have that mindset that's going to take you, put into action the way you want to be financially. So once you've done that, the next thing is financial education, right? Once you have that mindset, then you need the tools, right? You need the education. You need to be reading books, watching videos, doing things that's going to help you understand, like, once you have that mindset, what tools do I need in order to build the wealth long term? And you need to have that education. You can't just be like, have the mindset and then not educate yourself, because you need to understand like what tools are out there to help me, that's going to get me to where I need to be when it comes to building wealth. And you have to take action and participate in that and do the things necessary in order to get you there. And it starts with the financial education. And a lot of people struggle with that. And for me, myself, like, I remember reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was like the things I believe when it comes to college education, school, it wasn't something I was just making up in my mind. It was like I had these are real things, and it answered a lot of questions. But even still, after reading that book, I still wasn't where I wanted to be. I still couldn't figure it out because I got into debt. I still had poor financial habits. And it wasn't until I played the cash flow game where the light bulb went off, and I was like, all right, this is how I need to manage money going forward. And that changed my life exponentially. So And financial education is important. Next thing is risk tolerance, right? You need to understand your risk tolerance because not everybody has the same risk tolerance. Like how you, the type of risk tolerance you have is going to determine what kind of investments you get into. If you're someone that's very risk averse, it's going to be hard for you to like really build wealth long time. You can still do it, but you just have to. You're going to have a more conservative view when it comes to building wealth, especially if you're older. But if you're someone that's trying to build wealth long term, you're gonna have to take risks. Like you're gonna have to put your money in the stock market. You're gonna have to invest in real estate. You're gonna have to purchase. You're gonna have to invest in assets that's gonna help you multiply your money long term. So it's understanding that what type of risk tolerance that you have that's gonna help you get to where you want to go financially. You need to understand your risk tolerance. If you're someone that's risk averse, that you don't want to take risks, it's gonna be a little bit harder for you. You can still do it. It's just gonna take a little bit longer because the more risk you take, the more opportunity it is to make money. So you just need to really learn how to manage that and understand what kind of risk tolerance you have. The next thing is resilience, right? If you're someone that's going to build wealth long term, right, you need to have the mindset of being resilient because there's going to be a lot of opportunities where there's going to be a lot of times in your life where you're going to get knocked down. You're going to go through adversity, and you need to be resilient in overcoming that obstacle, right? Like there's people that are in debt right now where you have to figure out how do I get out of this debt and become successful long term. It may take a while. You may struggle doing that, but we've all been through it. Like I said, I had $30,000 of debt twice in my life, and I was able to overcome that, and then get myself where I was better off financially. And there's a lot of people that have hit rock bottom, that struggle financially, and they found some way to increase their wealth and build wealth long term. And sometimes it just takes a mind shift, right? It could be a board game, it could be a book, it could be someone mentoring you, it could be that somebody saying certain things to you that changes that mindset. And being resilient and being able to say, you know what, I'm going to overcome the obstacles that are in front of me and say, all right, I'm going to be successful, and then regardless of what happens, I'm gonna find a way to get it done. And so you gotta have that level of resilience. The next thing is long-term perspective, right? If you're going to build wealth, you have to have a long-term perspective. You can't have this short-term thing like, I'm just going to, I'm just trying to get rich quick. That's just not how it works. You have to have a long-term thinking, right? And I know for a lot of people, they have this YOLO mentality, right? You only live once, and you know what? You could lose your life, you could die tomorrow, and then what was it all for? But there's also a chance that you could live till 80, right? And then you need to figure out how to to sustain that life long-term. So these are things that you have to understand, that you got to have a long-term perspective when it comes to building wealth. Next thing is goal setting, right? You need to know what are you trying to accomplish? Like, what are your goals? Like, what's the number that you need in order to be where you need to be financially? So you need to have a goal. You have to have a plan, right? If you don't have that, it's gonna be hard for you to really achieve your goals. So like, what are you expecting? Like 5-10 years from now, where do you want to be? Like, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? And that also comes with the long-term thing. So you got to have goal setting. The next thing is like creativity and innovation. Like, even though during these times of inflation where everybody's strapped for cash and people are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, there's still people succeeding, right? There's still people finding ways to build wealth long term. And you could say, maybe it's because they have a lot of money, but there's people that don't have a lot of money and still figuring out ways to get through it, right? So it's going to take a lot of creativity, innovation. You got to have that mindset, like, all right, what do I need to do in order to have that, like, when opportunities present themselves, how do I take advantage of that? Because people that are creative and innovative, they seek opportunities, even though when there's not that many opportunities there. Because opportunity is going to be in your face, you have to take advantage of it. So especially during times like this when it's stressful and it's a struggle, you have to find ways to be creative and innovative. So that's another mindset that you have to have. Another thing is abundance mentality. You have to have the abundance mentality, like, regardless of what's going on, there's opportunities everywhere, right? Some people think, opportunities are saturated, like starting a YouTube channel, right? Some people be like, I'm not going to start a YouTube channel because everybody has a YouTube channel. So you can easily get to that point where you're like, you know what, I don't want to do that. But if you have an abundance mentality saying, there's an opportunity, like if I can work at it, put the work in and really bust my butt, I can find an opportunity and be successful at it. And it takes that resilience, and it takes that mindset to say, you know what, you can do this and work to it. So and the next thing is lifestyle choices. Like, how do you finance? How do you manage your finances? Are you someone that spends recklessly? Do you spend more than you make? How do you manage your money when it comes to your finances? So you have to have a certain life channel. How do you manage your health? Like, you have to understand that these are important things if you're going to build wealth long term. So it's a certain mindset. And I like to tell people that, like, Wealth doesn't start, like I said, with your wallet. It starts up here, right? It starts with the mindset. You have to have a understanding that, you know what, if I'm going to build wealth, I need to change the way I think. And it starts up there. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much money you make. If you don't have the level of thinking up here when it comes to your mindset, it's going to be hard for you to build wealth long term, right? So, boom, that's all I got for you guys today. If you got any comments or questions, make sure to leave it down below. Hit the like button and share. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe, right? So you guys take care and have a good one. Later.